Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records. Akashic, we laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magic, let's basking it. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us at All the Answers podcast, where we answer all your questions through the Akashic Records. We wanted to give you a little heads up that the first few episodes released here are going to be episodes 1, 6, and 7. That's because we felt like the content in episodes 6 and 7, which have to do with the coronavirus, were important to get out quickly. So you'll hear episodes 1, 6, and 7, and then after that, all the episodes released will be in order chronologically. Additionally, our sound quality is not excellent in some of these first few episodes because we were pulled away from our studio when Corona happened. So the longer you stick around episodes 8 and 9, things will be in order and sound will be amazing. So we hope you stick around. Enjoy.
All the answers. What were you asking for? All of the answers.
I have a thing where, I'll just put it like this. I have a thing where if I decide I don't want to talk to people, people don't contact me. And if I decide, okay, I'm ready, I'm here, what do you guys need? And start, it's really trippy. It sounds however it sounds, but I'm in a kind of like, it's sort of like I can only help so many people at one time. So I sort of shut the gates and then open the gates. So I've just needed a lot of time for myself and to integrate and here we are, podcast begun. There's so much happening on the energetic spiritual levels with what this actually is, this quote unquote virus. Yes, it's a virus. I don't mean quote unquote like it's not. I mean like it's so much more than a virus that people catch by being near each other and that people like myself are having to like process that what it actually is kind of from the spiritual perspective through the system, and that takes like a lot out of me. And so I'm doing a lot of walking the dog and being by the water and a lot of sitting in my records and draining stuff out. And as I was talking to Cassidy and our buddy Sam about last night, like sometimes it gets so intense that I just go like, nah, I'm gonna eat cake and have a shot of whiskey because I'm fucking done holding space for all of this and being helping out, and then like that doesn't work for me very well for very long. Like I get like sick and heavy and it hurts my fourth chakra and like then I'm cranky and I can't help people and I'm like, all right. So then I clean it up and I'm eating tofu and water and you know what I mean? I'm exaggerating, but like I just get tidy and grounded again and get back into doing the spiritual work. It's so weird, you guys. It's so weird because my whole life literally centers around having to be spiritually connected. Like when I don't do that, nothing else works. And so my whole life is built on it. And yet still I have a big ass ego or just an injured inner child or whatever you want to call it. So I can just be super like, I'm not fucking doing it today, I feel like most people must feel that way about like, I'm not sitting in traffic and driving to my stupid fucking job today. I'm not. And then somehow they have to get in the car and drive to their fucking job. It's like the endurance of a life, like what it takes to like do fucking life again every day. Like when you're a parent, I have such deep empathy for parents. I can't begin to express how blown away I am when people have children every day. It's every day. And then right now, all those posts you're seeing where people are like, oh, fuck, teachers should be paid $1 billion fucking an hour because I hate homeschooling my child is what everybody's saying. Everybody's losing their mind with their kid for one fucking day, which I think is part of the point. Like we are supposed to be waking up to what this virus is showing us and what the financial collapse is showing us. I got a text today from a guy who I just met. I met him and his wife coming out of a coffee shop in Benicia. And I was just like, hi, who are you? Hello. I just started talking to him because I'm so fucking cabin fevered out. And we stood a healthy distance and we did all that. But I was like, hi, strangers. You have a pulse. I have a pulse. Let's say words at each other now. And it turned out the guy was a contractor and he's building these two very sort of obvious, beautiful modern houses in Benicia. Benicia's a small town where I live, right? And so these houses are very prominent. They're stunning, right on the water, modern. He was like, oh, I'm the guy building those. I'm the contractor on that job. And we're going back and I'm like, whoa. I'm like blown away that, he's the guy making those houses because I walk by those houses all the time with Doug. We struck up a conversation. I met them on the street. I would never have spoken to them otherwise. We're now buddies talking back and forth a lot. Oh, I was talking about the spiritual value of what all this is and like the banking collapse. This guy who I met randomly outside of a coffee shop, who I never would have met otherwise, we're now chitty chatty, me and his wife and him. And he texted me this morning, wow, this is providing me a much needed slowdown. And for me, as a person who's kind of as sensitive as I am, I function at a really weird, slow rate compared to what my mind thinks I should be functioning at, and compared to a lot of the people I know in my life. Like, I don't work at the patriarchal pace anymore because my nervous system can't do it. It
The
can't.
speed of patriarchy. I feel like
Exactly.
that's the title of your next book.
That's so good. And my point being simply that this guy who is like the alphaist of alphas that you could imagine, building the most beautiful home on the most beautiful waterway, was like, yeah, I can't. I got to slow down. But he wouldn't slow down until the world said, you have to slow down. And that's happening for so many people right now, that people are being forced to sit still. And my therapist and I had a really interesting conversation about, I was telling her about my psychic insight that I keep getting, that trigger alert for anybody listening. If you get triggered easily about disaster stuff, don't listen now. My sense that things are going to get a lot worse before they get better, like a lot worse. And she said, I have the same sense. And she said, part of what I think it comes from is the entire world is going to sit down and get still. And what that means is all of the stuff that nobody wants to face in themselves all at once.
Oh,
Fucking tidal wave is up inside of every individual. Now, not every individual you know or have met or have run into on the street is ready to process their shit. So when people aren't ready to process their shit, like Cassidy's going to therapy now and talking about his stuff, if you're not ready to process it, what happens is it gets acted out in these sideways energy leaks in other ways, aka people lose their minds.
yep.
They kill each other, they loot, they steal stuff, they fucking do all kinds of shit. So when she said that, I was like, God, that matches the energy of what I've been aware of, that there's this like rumbling, like this, like just, it's like, and it's been growing and growing and growing. And now we all have to sit still. And I think we're going to be sitting still longer than we want. And poof, that rumbling is going to break up and become a whole new reality, which is great in the long run.
But hurts like hell.
I don't think
It
it's
is brutal.
in any way, shape, or form in the short run. And this is why I was like, you guys, we need to tape like right now. Like my system needs to be saying these words. Like, I have to be saying this to the people, because the form that rumbling takes moving through me is this. I have to contribute the consciousness language to the people, the general population, about what is occurring. Otherwise, my system gets clogged up and I'm all fucked up. Like, if I'm not giving in this way,
Yeah.
it's like how we are as artists. Like, if I don't do theater for a long time, I start to feel backed up and weird. Like you, Cass, you don't get an acting job. After a while, you're like just clawing the fucking walls. And that's how I am if I don't get to articulate these points for people. So here we are.
Yeah. We're in a systems feedback loop right now. The way systems work is systems thinking is again, I know a little about a lot of things, but how I understand systems to work is like systems self-regulate. And in a greater sense, you're talking about the sort of, and none of this is separate. I want to say that ahead of time. The spiritual, the viral, the human, but there's also the non-human natural world that is shifting immediately. After only 3 weeks in China, you can see the air from space. You couldn't do that 3 weeks ago. Through much of China was a smog blanket, and it is gone.
Wow.
There are dolphins in the Venice canals.
Huh.
That's batshit crazy.
Hmm.
because they're just polluted by traffic. I mean, there's some more scary ones like the monkeys that overran the Thailand city because there's no humans feeding them bananas. So
Huh.
they fucking mobbed this city. There's this insane. They're going a little crazy. But let's be honest, monkeys are close to humans, so
Yeah.
their systems are a little more tuned like ours. So they're going crazy, like you said.
Huh.
Whereas a lot of the world, nature, which is not separate from us, but we deem separate from us,
Huh.
if we look at it in that greater Gaia sense, like that is one of the things you're saying. What lessons are we to take, or what is this showing us? It's also showing us that the Earth. There's the TV show After Humans, which I've only watched little bits of, but the idea is like, here's what'll happen when humans are gone.
Yeah.
This will grow back. These populations will thrive, and they will find balance because all but humans naturally create their own systemic balance.
Huh.
It's the humans.
Huh.
We've created an ability to
Ugh.
artificially hold the system at bay for a little while.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's making me think of a couple different things. God, I love that concept, Cass. Thank you for sharing that. That makes so much sense to me. Like, we have done such work as a race, right? The human race, to separate ourselves from our natural way, or the natural way. That, like, of course, that would be the case. It's all getting funneled through technology. What's tripping me out. Because of the problem of technology, I'm going to just radically oversimplify reality right now just to make a point, and then we can break this apart. But in the greatest oversimplified way, because of technology, we have this problem we're in right now. It's a big part of why we have the problem we're in. We could unpack that later. And so we're forced to be home, and the only way we can so we're forced to distance, but the only way we can connect is through the technology. And I, like a woo-woo spiritualist who hates learning anything on the computer, am working my ass off. I'm building like online products and online classes and online I'm online business lady now. And I have been for a while, but I'm like committed now because I see the reality of the necessity for it. If I want to keep growing and keep helping people right this minute, this is the way to do that.
Right. It's the only way.
The only way. But also, it's like, even if and when and as things recover and turn a little more normal, if and when they do, we're still going to be somewhat largely dependent upon these technological tools that are killing us. What is happening? That's a weird feedback loop right there. Now, I can fully argue against myself after having just said that. In other words, okay, there's 8 ideas here at once. Idea number one is that I actually just posted about this today, that I have a class coming up. It's a 6 or 7 week call, and it's called Energy Work to Get What You Want. And I was talking about in the post today that the way I manifest money and things and whatever in my life is through the spiritual portals. I've talked to you guys about this before. Like, I go first to the divine and go, I need $4,000 to pay these people to do these things for my business. And then after I do that work and clear and clear and clear and line up and line up and line up energetically and manifest through the spiritual realm, then I get guidance about, after that, I get guidance about, like, okay, now post this thing, or go over here, or here's what you need to do with your business. Like, the intuition comes after I'm lined up better. So in a way, what I'm manifesting has nothing to do with technology. It has to do with God. But the way that the human beings are hearing about what I'm manifesting through the divine is through the fucking technology that the humans made to get away from other humans. So it's such a weird clusterfuck of strange that I don't even know what to say about it. So I don't know. I find the whole thing to be a weird sort of circular, like, liberation and trap all at once. Do you know what I'm saying about technology?
Yes. Yeah. But I wonder if that's always been the case about any advance that we see as both, like, it's just we're operating in I don't have an end point to that thought. So I'm going to let it go.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a good question. You could look at, like, okay, this is so crazy. I watched the Unabomber documentary series on Netflix the other night, which was not a wise move during the apocalypse to watch, like, here's how.
Terrible choice.
Anyway, it was actually quite interesting. And I had seen, there's a movie about the same story that's like a movie, but this was like a docu-series where they interview him. There was like one woman he was willing to let have interview him. Anyway, his manifesto, which was like written, the one that got published in the New York Times, because he was like, I will only stop killing people if you publish this. A lot of what he says is right on point.
Yep.
I mean, he's right on point. He just took it to the degree of like, therefore kill people, which was the problem. But what he's saying about the technological revolution, he was looking at like, if you look at 1847, the history of the technological revolution, everything started to get fucked there, back way 1400, like a long fucking time ago. And that's when we started getting cars and carts and horse-drawn no more. And I'm saying benefits and death all at the same time. And I don't know what to make of it, except that I'll just say for myself, it doesn't sit right with me, the degree to which it's taken over. This machine, this is a telephone I'm holding up, is so toxic to my hand. Being an energy healer all these years now, I have 4 of these stickers on it that are designed to like dissipate the phone energy. Before I put the stickers on it, I could not hold the phone for more than 3 seconds. It hurt my nervous system, physically hurt, pain. Put the stickers on, they're designed to do this thing. And now I can hold it, but about, 2-3 minutes in, I have to put it down because it hurts. And every time I do a spiritual upgrade and change the grid and the frequency of my body, I have to add another fucking sticker to that thing because that thing is so fucking toxic. And I swear I'll stop on this tirade in a second after I say the following thing, which is that a friend of mine who's not even particularly woo-woo sent me a link to a science professor guy giving a talk about his perspective of what the coronavirus is, like the virus itself. And his theory, by the end of it's like a 10-minute talk. We can include it with this episode for people if they want to hear it. I'll send a link. We'll figure out how to include that. But he's talking about the toxicity level of 5G in particular.
I've heard about this.
And the toxicity level of whatever 3G or whatever the fuck we already have. He was like, it is not compatible with human life. It's not an energy field that is, and he broke it down scientifically. He's like, here's how water works in the body. Here's how these EMFs or EFTs or whatever the fuck they're called, those energy vibrations of the phone. Here's how they work in the body. They literally suck and leach water out and fuck you up. I'm not articulate scientifically, so we'll have to include this link so people could watch it and hear him speak more eloquently about it. And he said, so with the coming 5G, all I can say to you, and this is like a science professor, he said, all I can say to all of you right now is get focused on your spiritual practice. And I was like, huh? Like, that's not where I saw this fucking science conversation going. He goes, because the only thing that's going to save any of us is if you have any kind of spiritual practice in the coming days. Thank you. Good night. And then the thing is over. And you're like, but he just spent the whole time sciencing you. Super rationalist, right? But this is the point I think of right now, is that it's like the consciousness of the universe is saying everywhere you think there is a separation, human beings, there is not. Science and spirit is one thing. It's just that we're out of balance with which one we're listening to and to what degree we're listening. If you're hyper-rationalist, you're not going to receive the feminine intuition that you require to be balanced. And if you're hyper-feminine, you're not going to fucking survive on planet Earth, because you need to have some reason and some drive to move the fuck forward and like outrun the stampeding giraffes that are following you or whatever's going to happen after the fucking downfall. My point is, balance is necessary, it's all being shown to us now that there is no separation between the perceived dualities of this reality: reason, intuition, man, woman, masculine, feminine, up, down, divine, human. One thing, everybody, one thing. And this collapsed virus economic thing we're in is blowing up all the structures that hold in place the perceived dualities.
Yeah. And if I can just jump on that, you've got me, you're firing off all kinds of neurons and how they work, like socioeconomically and racial division and patriarchy and all the things. Those are all aspects of separating systems, from separating the components of a system into their own world and then saying this is what is happening.
Right.
You know, and balance of any system, like, you know, the fact that, you know, if billionaires siphon off the money, pull the money out of the system, then that system is out of balance.
Right.
So, which then increases the importance of that system, which then separates it from the rest of the system. And then it has its own crazy, fucked up, out of balance microsystem. And then we return to, and that, of course, is connected to racial division and oppression. And then that itself is, sorry, I'm not even, can't be very clear, but the idea that, yeah, that it just goes back to systems being out of balance and perceiving things as separate.
Exactly.
And not constantly refer, and we can see this on a micro level, even in the only human world, which is not separate from the rest. But even you can see microcosms of the macro, which is, if we don't look at how, you know, climate change is also a racial issue, is also an economic issue, is also a spiritual issue. If we're not looking at it, if we don't look at the coronavirus as also an economic issue and a racial issue and a spiritual, like, if we don't see that every single thing that is happening or is challenging is connected to every single other fucking thing, we're I don't know how to convince the world of that, or even myself, but that's,
well, okay, let me show you something. That's such a good point. And I mean, I think the bottom line is, you will see it and you will get it, or you will die off, or you will see it or you will get it, or you will be part of the building that people revolt against and try to kill you in. Like, I don't think, I mean, this is, hold on, there's this card. I'm looking through one of my decks here. I have a bunch of spiritual healing decks, and there's a card that you're, like, what you're describing, there's literally a card for that. It's called the in this particular deck, it's called the Magic Stream card. And I want to read what it says, because this card comes up a lot in my own work with myself. And I think it articulates exactly what you're speaking to, which is to say, the powers that be right now, who are working for themselves and literally against everyone else. Like, Trump is not working for the people, or for any fucking buddy, but his own interests and his own private, whatever, beneficial benefits for himself and his people, or whatever that is. He's such an extreme version of what we're describing here, that, like, the only outcome for something, for an energy field, which is what all human beings are, that is functioning at that much of a gnarled up, against the world energetic frequency, all about the self, that is this brings me back to what the scientist guy was saying. That is a that is a sickness in the system. Let's say the system of human beings. I love your system thing you're bringing up. Let's say the interconnected web of consciousness that includes the human race is a system. Picture it like a neural net. You know how it looks like synapses connecting to other synapses, right? Okay, so picture the image of a neural net. Different, like, synapses on neurons connecting to each other. Let's say all of humanity on the earth is, if you're looking at it through an energetic microscope, is a neural net. When you get to Trump and his people and the system, he's a section of the neural net that is black and sickened, it's being squeezed out of the system, and pus, blood, shitted all over the rest of the system. So the system is like falling apart. It's being shorted out by this toxic toxin that is oozing out of the system itself. So it's sort of like, if you think of a machine and inside let's think of a car engine, all right, and the pistons. I don't know anything about fucking car engines, but let's say, what's a part? The carburetor, okay, explodes, black oil out of it. It's gonna, carburetors don't have oil. I understand. I don't know what I'm fucking saying. The oil gets all over the inside of the engine, and the engine is fucked up for a while. So what you have to do is get in there and, like, wipe that oil off and spray it down with a special thing, and then spray it with water, and then dry it off, and then let the car rest with the fucking hood open for a while, let the wind pass through. Then you can drive that car later. But right now what we have is a carburetor that has blown up all over the fucking engine. And it speaks directly to this card. It's called the Magic Stream. Every experience you have seems to have its own life story, with a beginning, a middle, and eventually an end. However, There is danger in seeing events as separate from one another, since in fact they are all part of a continuity and a greater evolution. Like an ever flowing magic stream, your experiences filter through the whole world, one leading into another, informing and influencing still more. Inspiration, invention, and revelations rarely come to just one person. The collective awareness is a shared storehouse of potential. When you remember you're part of the fluid continuity of life, you become a channel for great inspiration. I think Squeeze really supports this idea. Allow the magic to flow through you and carry your dreams into reality. Your success will benefit many. And it looks like this. I know we can't show the podcast, but it's a magic stream. It's beautiful. The point being, like, this card comes up in my life a lot. And it's funny that you're talking about this concept, Cass, because of how often that card shows up in my reality. Meaning that the universe is often showing me personally through that deck that you think your little tiny actions, Katie, don't matter. And you think your little healing sessions with your clients don't do anything. But the stream is being affected by everything everyone does. And so when we have a virus like this, it's this scientist guy was talking about, and I loved this idea that a virus is literally, when you get a virus he was talking about in a population of, I think he said dolphins, which is also weird because you were just talking about dolphins. But what's happening is that something is detoxifying out of the herd. When they look at what a virus actually is, it's something pulling out of a system. And he gives all this scientific language for how they know that and why that's the case. And when he said that, I was like, that's what we spiritual people are all talking about in our little online chat groups and wherever the fuck we talk to each other. We're talking about the fact that this is a boil on the ass of life that has been squeezed by the consciousness itself, by consciousness, and the pus is fucking flowing. But it's a pretty good idea to lance a boil, because eventually it's going to be bad for a while. There's going to be pus every fucking place. But eventually the pus washes away and you have a whole new ass.
Wait, did the pus come out of the carburetor? I got lost.
Oh my God. Thank you for making a joke. I'm on such a soapbox right now. I appreciate you.
No, it's I think what you're saying is pretty clear. And sorry, lost my train of thought. I just keep thinking of the sort of the micro of the macro, the things that are like the smaller versions that illustrate the larger story that is in place. Like you were saying, do I make a difference? Yes, you're part of the great stream, but in the negative, it also is shown or avoiding negative impact, as it were, which is like, I just saw a little graphic that was like, one person in the next 5 days contacts 10 people. This is what that infection vector looks like. And it's 1 million. Like, wow. Or I'm totally making up numbers, but like that same person contacts only 5 people in the next 8 days. It drops to 30% of that. That one person contacts 2 people, it drops to 5, infection rate of 100. And then that person only doesn't contact anybody. It makes the difference.
Okay, so what does contact mean?
I think they're saying make contact outside of your reality of your, make contact with a stranger. I'm going to say it has to do with or with a person.
Does that mean like kiss them on the mouth, or does it mean come near them 5 feet? What does it mean?
I think they mean potential infection whatever potential infection. They're talking about, this was for the coronavirus.
No, but I'm actually asking you the question because I don't understand yet. What do they mean right now about the coronavirus? What is contact? Is contact like I'm within a foot of your face? Is contact like I touch you on the lips? What is contact?
I don't know from this particular one what it means, but my extrapolation is, because of all the things I've been reading, is physical contact, especially hand, which transfers to face, or the ability to inhale their saliva, which means they cough or sneeze on you or within a few feet of you. That's why the 6 feet thing is pretty eye-gathering. So
if a Starbucks employee hands me a Starbucks coffee,
that is a potential path for vector, but that's, less because they're probably taking precaution. And again, this is all very theoretical. And I'm a little bit talking out my ass here, but I would say don't get lost in the tiny minutia, but the idea that literally minimizing contact for one person has an
I get that.
indelible effect.
No, that concept I get. I'm asking a side question, which is that like this whole time reading on the internet, various articles, I'm still unclear as a
Right.
person in the middle of this thing. What are we not? Because Starbucks is still open. The drive-through is open. I can go there and get an
Yes.
espresso. And I'm
And
like,
that is a potential vector
okay,
because they are a human being that could possibly be carrying it because you
Right.
can be asymptomatic.
right.
And if they cough on their hand and don't clean it immediately
Yeah.
and then touch your cup and hand you the cup and then you take the cup with your bare hand and then touch your face, it's a very low bar, but it is a possible from what I understand. And I really don't want to spread any like kind of panicky disinformation. So I'm sort of being a little like, those are possibilities, which
Well, I
is
mean,
why,
that's what
yeah,
I've read all over the internet is that those are
yeah.
the possibilities. I'm just trying to like hear your guys' perspective because we need to be talking to each other as humans right now. Like I went over and stood 8 feet away from my neighbors and we had a powwow about like, because okay, get this. And then we're gonna look at the questions I just got.
Yeah, there's a bunch. I was looking at them. I can read them
Yeah,
out.
they're really good. I have them here. I want to go through and ask the record keepers which ones they want me to answer. I'm already actually doing it as we're talking. So my neighbors are medical professionals. They're physical therapists. And so they're a couple, man and woman. And every single day they're going into old folks' homes and homebound people. And they're literally young 30-something couple walking into the old people place, touching their bodies, getting coughed on by these old people, and then moving on to the next old person. And I'm like,
Yeah.
isn't that exactly the thing we're not supposed to be doing right now? And they're like, we are considered necessary medical care. Like if I don't go to this lady's house, she falls down, breaks her hip, dies, and nobody knows about it. And I get that. And I'm like, okay, yes, of course. But also like,
I can speak to that.
okay.
I have thoughts about that. From what I understand, there is no preventing that we will be spreading it and everybody will get it, or 60% of us will get it
Right.
or be exposed to it. The idea is take every single possible person out of that equation that you possibly can for now, slowing the rate of transmission, which means all unnecessary contact goes away. Necessary contact will still spread the disease. We have to remove every single non-essential contact out of the equation because the essential contacts will be spreading it. So your neighbors are probably going to be vectors, but there'll be fewer vectors if we reduce it to only the essential. It's not about not having contact, it's about taking the maximum number out of that equation that we can right now.
What does the word vector mean in this context?
It's a pathway for the pathogen or whatever it is to pass from one person to another. I'm a carrier. That's a vector. I'm an infection vector. That is how I understand it. And I hope I am not spreading bullshit disinformation because that is a great fear of mine.
I understand. Now, okay, there's 2 tracks we could go from here. Let me just look at it. Our question for you is, if you could ask anything, one thing of the source of all that is right now, what would you ask? I'm going to read all of these questions right now, just for the sake of everybody hearing everything that's being posted here. And then my records are open, and so I'll follow the guidance that I'm getting about where to go here. Because I'd love to spend. I mean, we could be here for hours, and I'd love to answer all of these. I'd love to try to sit with each of these questions. Will this pandemic help the Earth recover somewhat from the abuse by humans? Is that a question for us to ask now? No. Okay. Will we be okay? I turned to my husband last night and said, we need to make up our wills for my daughter's sake ASAP. Is that a question? Okay, they're saying we can do that one because it'll be quick. So I'm going to put a pin in that. When is the virus going to be contained and when can we all stop quarantining? No, we're not doing that. What is the best way to use this time? Definitely we're doing that. By the way, I'm asking as we're asking here. This isn't coming from my opinion. This is what I'm getting. How do we let go and accept what is unfolding? Okay, we're not going to necessarily go there, though I have a lot to say about that. So I'm just going to say to the record keepers now, so Lords, Masters, Teachers, do you require that would it be most beneficial if we open the records of the collective while I'm answering these questions? Yes. Okay. Can I answer them from here? No. They want me to open okay. Is there another way to go about it? No. fuck, that's intense. I don't really want to open the records of the collective right now. Let me just sit with that for a second. It's going to be intense for me. That's what I'm saying. But let me see. Okay, that's what we're doing, which means necessarily there's going to be a healing in here. So if you're listening, or for you to just hang on to your hats and just get ready to do some energy work, because tapping into the collective right now is, and when I say the collective, if anybody's confused, I mean the collective consciousness of humanity. So everybody's everything. It's not a small thing to tap into at this particular moment. So I'm opening this prayer I like to use. By the way, my current favorite prayer to use is by my dear friend, Reverend Annie Batchelder. Annie Batchelder, Bachelder. She's got a great Akashic Records prayer. I love it. We're going to say it right now. And then we're going to come back to these questions. So for everybody listening, I'm drinking sparkly water, so I have to burp a lot. Let's bring our feet flat on the floor. Yeah. Feel the bottoms of your feet connecting to whatever is below them. Imagine at the bottom center of each foot a little chakra opening, a little portal, channel, energy field, chakra, whatever you like to call it, opening at the bottom center of each foot. And from the bottom center of each foot, a complex structure of roots grows, like tree roots, grows from the bottom center of each foot down into the planet. Many miles down and out, left, right, down and down and down. 10 miles down, now 40 miles down, 50 miles down. And the further down into the earth these roots grow, the wider the root structure grows. This is going to ground us to the earth. Okay, simultaneously as that's occurring, let's extend by imagining it. Imagine, allow, visualize, extend a grounding cord from your root chakra to the center of the earth. And let's let that grounding cord be about 1.5 feet wide open. A nice 1.5 feet in diameter grounding cord shoots from the base of your spine to the center of the earth. Thank you, everyone, for participating in this. The more people participate in it, the higher the vibrational frequency of humanity. All of us doing any work like this contributes radically to the population in general. Okay, so the earth itself begins to contribute spiritual energy up through that grounding cord that travels through your grounding cord into your root chakra, the genital area, the base of the spine. That spiritual earth energy then travels forward into each of your hips. It splits off to each hip, passes through each quad, Allah, into each knee, down into each calf and shin, and then down into each ankle, and down through those foot chakras that we just created, down into the root structure, the wide, miles and miles deep root structure we just created. Earth energy, spiritual energy from the earth going down into those roots. From each of your feet, giving us a tripod grounding structure here. This, by the way, is a grounding process I got from Lisa Barnett, who has some excellent literature books, prayer books, guidance books on how to open the Akashic Records. She's an expert in the Akashic Records as well. And the person who I studied levels 1 through 4 with, Lisa Barnett. If you're looking for information on the Akashic Records, her book is called The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records, and her other one is called From Questioning to Knowing. Okay, so from here, do we need to, okay, we're gonna open now. Okay, so from here, we say, everybody, if you could breathe into your low belly, that will help ground us here. By the power of divine light within us, come Holy Spirit, Spirit of light, Spirit of truth, for the highest good of all. Throughout time, fill our hearts with divine love as I humbly ask permission to open the divine portal to the highest realm of the Akashic Records for the collective consciousness of all the human beings on earth. Akashic beings of light, guide the collective consciousness of the human beings on earth to the deepest truth of their being, releasing any blocks and restrictions to their abundance and highest good. Lords of the Akashic Records, assist the collective consciousness of all the human beings on planet Earth to fully embody their soul's light to fulfill their soul's purposes and to heal any accumulated karma. Surround the collective consciousness of all the human beings on earth with the enlightenment and wisdom of their masters, teachers, and loved ones. Clearly direct the collective consciousness of all the human beings on earth's perspective and actions to those that manifest their divine plan. And now I'm going to go quiet for just a moment. All right, free of all resistance, judgment, and fear, we're now filled with divine love, and the records for the collective consciousness of all the human beings on earth are now open. Yeah, and so the first piece of information already is like, yes, this is the collective of the earth beings, but this is also the universal collective, the collective consciousness of all that is. I mean, all right, and so from that space of connection, we're looking at the question first, Lords, Masters, and Teachers of the collective. I'm asking you to open us, deepen us into communion with you. Lay our multidimensional hearts open that we can receive, hear, perceive, know, and feel you. Your guidance, wisdom, and healing now. Each of us listening, breathing into the low belly, relaxing the low belly muscles as you inhale. Allah. For those of you unfamiliar, the word Allah literally translates to mean the one, or the one of love, consciousness, truth, God, universe, the one. One of the healing schools I went to was a Sufi healing school. So oftentimes when my spirit aligns with source, it begins to channel Arabic prayers and Arabic words because I have a spiritual lineage in the Sufi way. So this is not about promulgating, whatever that word is, a religion. This is about mystically tapping into the divine through Arabic prayers that happen to do that. Now I could do that through Hindu prayers or Jewish prayers or whatever fucking prayers. It doesn't matter. And they're mentioning that now because they don't want the beings of light of the Akashic records of the collective wish for the humans listening to understand that Katie Rubin using the word Allah is not a political choice. Well, it is political in that she's stating by using that word that these arbitrary divisions that human beings tend to draw between religious groups is silly. It's silly, the arbitrary lines. The word Allah vibrates at the frequency of love. So if you're listening to this and tripping out on the word Allah, you need to look at your judgments and your perceptions of all kinds of shit. All right, we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole.
Because that is an entire conversation.
Yeah, it's a big talk, but it's present. So here we are.
Yeah, thank you.
Will we be okay? I turned to my husband last night and said, we need to make up our wills for my daughter's sake ASAP. So they're saying, it's like, yeah, make up your wills. Make up your wills. Everybody make up your wills. If you're moved, if you have that impulse, you're like, I probably should put my will together. Then put your will together, because this is an incredibly tumultuous, uncertain time in human history and human consciousness. And if you have kids, it is always wise to have a functioning will. And right now is an excellent time to get that kind of duck in a row. So the question, will we be okay? This individual person, I don't want to out anyone. So Lords, Masters, Teachers, I'm not actually comfortable answering that question for an individual on this podcast, but I'll answer it for the sake of the human race. I'm not going to we're not going to have a conversation about will this individual person survive. I'm just not going there. Not today anyway. Not without them present on the podcast facing me in a room or on the telephone so that I can ask them, do you want me to go there right now? But she's not here, so we're not doing that. So, Lords, Masters, Teachers, will the human race be okay? Okay, this word okay, what?
Oh, I'm just responding. Yeah, okay is such a...
Yeah. So this word okay, you will be transformed, you will be transmuted. Many of you will not survive. Many of you will not survive. This is a tidal wave of transformational healing, of energetic vibration raising. This is also a question point. It's like a choice point for humanity. Things will either transmute into a very different reality wherein consciousness, love, unity become actual functioning aspects of cultural reality or not. And if not, then humanity goes bye-bye, and Earth does whatever it's going to do next, which the galactic councils, okay, now we're going to get out there. There are galactic councils and council members watching, holding space, contributing energies of consciousness raising to the planet Earth with the purpose of elevating her consciousness and the consciousness of the beings, the human beings on her surface. And there are other beings, races that are working to collapse the structures of humanity so as to get rid of you. So humanity has a choice. This is a very large choice point where humanity can wake up to the necessity of understanding, as you were discussing earlier, the magic stream consciousness. Either humanity wakes up to the magic stream, the truth of the magic stream consciousness, whereby all systems are one system. Either you wake up to that and you are, as you say, okay, meaning you survive and elevate in your consciousness, or you do not. So we would argue that you are not okay already. You are not okay, humanity. You need some help. Now, this is in a large way an overstatement, generalization, in that so many of you, so many among you, they're showing me this. You ever look at, this is Katie now, you ever look at like an overview map of the United States, like a camera will zoom out from the United States and show little dots that represent some kind of population question or something. They're showing me one of those of like how many human beings on the earth actually do give a shit and actually are trying to work for the greater good. Namely, they're showing me, now I'm going to let them speak. We wish to point your attention to your own backyard and the earth warriors, you could say, who are functioning within the technology playground, which is to say, many technological companies are in fact interested in contributing greener choices, green emissions, recycling options, cleaner gases that can be emitted through smokestacks. There are many technologically engaged human beings who are in fact trying to raise the consciousness of the technological conversation. So there is hope for humanity. There is hope. And this is a choice point. So I'm just, Katie, asking again, in general, can we get guidance on if more than likely, like, is there a percentage you could give us of like, how likely is it that the human race will sort of like survive here? This is difficult. I'm going to have this conversation I'm having internally, externally now. So I'm hearing 60%. Is that correct? Okay. Is it more than 60%? Not really. Well, that's what I'm hearing. 60% chance.
Look, I take that as we have a fighting chance. That's more than 50. That's actually, that to me is actually a positive number that I would not have, I'm surprised on.
It's interesting because I have the opposite reaction, Cast. It doesn't feel, 60% is pretty close to 50-50.
I agree. I think I've had a background noise in my soul for a long time of fatalism. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep going to pretend everything's okay. But I also feel like, yeah, we got about a 40% chance to make it. Now I'm hearing that maybe we have a 60% chance to make it. So it doesn't mean chill out. It means fucking double down because you have something you can do. That's
true. Now, when we talk about humanity making it, I'm sitting here wondering, so I'll do this out loud. Are we talking about can we look at a time frame? They always hate that question and all my clients always want a time frame on things because time is so different in the realms of unity. There's no time. The question is irrelevant. They're like, time? Just fucking do it correctly and then you don't die. What do you mean time? And I'm like, yeah, but some of us will be dead sooner than others. And so it's more relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like in our lifetimes, Do we have a likelihood of, is this 60%? Is this with regard to, like, say, for example, my lifetime? And they say yes. So is it like within the next 10 years? Is it within less time than that? Okay, 5 years? So I just need to ask, like, what do we need to do as a human race? Okay, we're gonna put a pin in that and come back to other people's questions, because for some reason when I ask that question, they're showing me my future, like what I need to do, and that's not what we're looking at right now. Thank you for that, though. You want me to? No. Okay. So will we be okay? Yes, 60% likelihood. And also, it's interesting because their answer to that question is actually just yes, because okay doesn't mean, because okay, like, sure, if you all die, that's okay. That's the perspective, is like, sure, you're okay.
It's a bigger galactic question.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay to die, and you all can die. It's okay. Death is not really the worst thing from their perspective. Now, if you mean, are we personally going to die? You, the person asking, that's a different question. So, okay, we've answered that. The next one they want us to look at is, what is the best way to use this time? This is an excellent question. Record keepers, I need real clarity on this. I don't want to interject anything you wouldn't say. Well, we would have you reorient yourselves toward building structures and functioning systems through which unity consciousness can exist. We would have you reorient your conscious minds toward the pursuit of elevating your spiritual vibrational frequencies. We would have you point your energetic, your will centers toward the truth telling more audibly. We would have you take the political actions you understand to be unity producing. We would have you do what you know in your heart to do. You know in your heart what to do. So many of you don't do anything about anything. So many of you don't do what you know in your heart to do. This is the entire purpose of this entire time, is to say, will you do something about creating unity? Or will you sit back and watch as it falls away from you, the possibility of unity? Will you sit back and wait more and more and more? Or will you engage? Yes, liberals, there is a way to communicate, or ways to communicate, which are more generative. Yes, you can be gentle and caring and inclusive in your language, and you have become quite elegant and gifted in these ways. You are quite skilled and sophisticated in your ability to communicate kindly and with consideration of the other. Now is the time to do so loudly and with action. Just because you are insistent, strong, aligned, strong, loud, does not mean you are mean, aggressive, abusive, or angry. And some of your anger is useful and must be applied appropriately. We don't give you anger accidentally. We give you anger to birth things. Volcanoes erupt from the ground. They do not gently ooze from the ground with love. They erupt from the ground with love. When you are fucking, is it always tender? No. And yet you make babies from love with penetration. It's the same. Your love can be contained in a straight channel of direct clarity. You can express intensity. It is okay to be intense. Now is an intense time. You must be intense. So sign the letters, break the structures, walk the streets, love your neighbor, all the things you know. This is not a great mystery. How many wisdom teachers must we send? There's no new teachings required. Gandhi, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Buddha, Muhammad, all the ascended masters, Jesus. What else do you fucking need? You need a kick in the ass is what you need. It's all been too comfortable. Okay, we say, then we contribute strong energies like a tidal wave to awaken you. This is what it takes. We have a message for those of you who are intuitive, psychic, spiritual, sensitive. Those of you who have been hearing this for so long, you've been hearing the whispers. I think I need to wake up and actually do something. But that's a little crazy, isn't it? The ocean is talking to me and telling me to heal it. But that's crazy. Who am I? Syria, the Middle East, is a real problem. How? But I can't make a difference. Every piece of love-based, forceful action you take absolutely makes all of the difference. A tidal wave of human beings moving. Guess what that's made up of? Lots of individual human beings. That's one person at a time. One person at a time forms an ocean of people. And you, Katie Rubin, have asked so many times, why now? Why this lifetime? What is this fucking lifetime for? What is it for? What are these gifts for? Who cares? Why fucking bother? Because you're a loud ass bitch. And fucking now is the time. They need to be shaken awake by the shoulders. So you're willing, aren't ya? And I am. Now they're showing me my future again. Is it relevant to talk about that? No. All right. That is the best way to use this time. From inside of your containment, take action, communicate, speak the truth, hide no more, unify, talk about what matters, be a revolutionary. It's not a cute joke. It's not just something to make a little play about. Your plays matter. Yes. And it's not a fun game. This isn't a cute, fun game. This is, you're asking, are we going to be okay? This is life and death. It really is. We're not certain what it will take for the humans to wake up to understand that the moment is now. The moment has always been now. It's just that you're on the edge now. So you're going, oh, I guess the moment is now. And we're saying, well, we've been telling you in all the ways we know how. We whispered it. We had you write songs about it. We had you make plays about it. We brought you Bernie Sanders. We did all the fucking things we could do that were whispers. And so it is. And we sit, this is I'm aware of this council of light right now. I'm like this council member on this council of light, and there's all these light beings around me. And they're like, we're good. Like, we are of the vibrational frequency of oneness, and we are contributing energies of consciousness to the earth all the time. We love you, human beings. Part of our role is we signed up to contribute to earth, which sometimes we go, what a weird choice that was. Actually, that's that's not how they say it. That's how I say it. They say we contribute and we love, and we contribute and we love. And they're just like in non-duality. So they're endlessly patient and somewhat surprised of what we've been choosing and not choosing. You have to understand, like, think of it like, in like a Star Wars movie, in a Star Wars movie, right, there's like some Earthlings and some aliens, and everything gets all fucked up in the galaxy. So they're all on one spaceship together. And then like all these races are on one spaceship flying around the universe and like light speed, and they warp to another dimension, and suddenly they're in another universe or another galaxy or whatever you want to call it. And then like, because something goes wrong, like one planet explodes, right? That's how big a deal it isn't to the council members of, it's a very big paradox, because in a way the earth is actually quite important galactically. The water supply matters a lot. It matters. It all matters. Planets, this is brand new information to me. Planets are like chakras in the body of a galaxy. Earth is a very important chakra in the organic functioning of the galaxy. So it's not that Earth doesn't matter. It matters quite a bit. And planets blow up all the time. We're not saying Earth is going to blow up, but we're not saying it's not. And now, how do we let go and accept what is unfolding? This is the deeper question. Well, this has been your work all along that some of you have been busy working on. You must develop in yourself a willingness to simultaneously accept what is occurring. You have to accept it. Okay, and you're saying, how do we let go and accept it? You must be willing to feel pain, period. So humanity, you spend your time avoiding pain. That's the entire answer to the question. It's quite simple and not easy, apparently, for the human. It hurts to think that we're, as a human race, destroying the ocean. It's so painful to think about that you just don't think about it. You don't want that pain. You want to see another movie or have another pizza, or eat another donut. Donuts are not inherently bad. Movies are not bad. Pizza is not bad. However, and when you use these things as drugs to avoid being aware of the pain of the human race that you are experiencing without letting yourself experience it, when you use these things to avoid pain, then the pain of the earth does not get integrated into your system, and then you believe yourself to be separate from the problem. It's interesting. There is one thing required: know thyself. Know thyself. In other words, all the pain avoidance you do, she says, how do we let go and accept what is unfolding? Be sad about it. Be angry about it. Feel that pain. Cry, because that breaks your second chakra open to being in contact with your first chakra, which then connects you to the earth. And then you feel like, oh my God, I am responsible for the ocean's health. I am responsible for the atmosphere, the ozone layer. I am responsible for the dying species in the Serengeti. Who else is, if not you? Who is the magical warrior with a stick who's going to go out and handle shit? If not you, who is it? There's nobody else. There's nobody else. There's only you. Anyone hearing these words, there's always only you. Everything else is out of your control. All you can ever control is what you're willing to face. So drop into your bellies now and feel the sadness and the terror. There is good news. As you feel sadness and terror, it breaks apart and opens into love. That is the whole point. Feelings were just meant to be a signpost. Feelings say, look here, dig here. When you dig here, you feel, and it's uncomfortable, and 20 seconds later you are unified with the field of love. It's quite simple, but your entire human system is built in the opposite direction. It's built on avoid feelings, work harder, push forward, break away from your body, don't feel, push, go, don't feel. And so of course you are separate from the ocean and the ibexes and the insects that are part of the food chain. Of course you are. How could you feel the presence and the value of a spider when you're not even willing to feel how angry you are and how scared? Once again, so shortly after the pain of a feeling, so shortly after it is the experience of openness and unity and love. Right there, right on the other side. So feel it, stop resisting it, open into it, sit down, sit still. And this brings us back to what you all began with today, of the discussion you were having of Katie, Margaret, talking about the rumbling underneath and how the sitting down of the entirety of the race is forcing all of that which you haven't wanted to feel to come up. So how do you let go and accept what is unfolding? You get a plague that makes you sit still so that hopefully you'll feel some shit, so that hopefully you'll transmute into the energy of love, so that you'll start living your life from love and taking loving action every day. That's how. Please understand how much love there is in this transmission. This is a transmission of love to you. But remember, love is not always a cuddly blanket on a couch. Sometimes love is a volcano. Don't mistake a loving volcano for something else. Okay. I have to say, just as myself, I haven't felt so, like my mind is nowhere to be found. I can't find my mind right now. I have no mental activity.
You spent the last 10, 15, 20 minutes delivering a message of great loving fire. So that's what we've all just been sitting here listening to. I don't know how much of it you were able to even hear, or if you were just a transmitter, but I don't think you need a Katie mind right now. We got it.
Yeah, no, I don't think you do either. I'm simply letting you know how interesting it is from my perspective that there's nothing happening in my mind. I think too, they want me to mention it because it's like, look how much intensity is being delivered, and the mind is not required for any of that. The mind is not required for any of this. This is for any of the questions you're asking, for any of the actions required to become love and to feel feelings and to drop in and to be here now and to change your political structures and to get rid of douchebags and to kill the virus. It's just action. It's just instinct. It's just go. Just do it. Nike. A successful marketing campaign. It seems like a joke, but Nike, right? Just do it. A successful marketing campaign works because it speaks to the guts. It speaks to the instinct and the humanity, the instinct, the guts. So your instincts already knew. So now it's just, will you run the race? And that's up to you. All right. Do you two have any questions, since we're in a really interesting space right here?
My mind's a little blown too. I feel like I just downloaded a great sermon, but not a preachy kind. Just to, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, record keepers, anything else? Nope. Do you want me to talk about what you? I don't know why I don't know. Okay. Throughout this whole thing, as I'm saying this stuff and whatever, I'm seeing my future personally, and they don't want me to get into it right now, but I'm like, it's interesting that you're delivering this so clearly to me while I'm saying these other things. And they're like, yeah, that's because when you're in this vibration, you can see all time, dimension, space, reality. And you yourself, Katie, have been asking a lot. What am I doing? What am I doing? What should I do? Where do you want me? So you're here with us now. So we're answering you, but because time is relative and there's no, it's all concurrent. That's why.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Shall we close the records? Yes. Okay. So thank you very much, Lords, Masters, and Teachers of the Akashic Records, of the collective consciousness of humanity. No big deal. For this information and this time and this wisdom and this healing. I'm asking you to please protect us. Please give us the strength we need to take the actions we need to take. Guide us in the directions you'd have us walk. Make it easy. Make it easy enough that human beings will do it. Motivate us, maybe with as little pain as possible, if we're willing to receive it. Make us willing to receive it. Please, 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 please. Return us all now to our complete human wholeness. The divine portal and the records for the collective consciousness of humanity are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the records of the collective consciousness of humanity are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the records of the collective consciousness of humanity are now closed. Amen. That answered a lot of questions for me about the whispers, when they were really on about the whispers, about how we've all been hearing for so long, the whispers, like, maybe it's, but what does it matter? Is it that whole thing?
Yeah.
They were sort of showing me flashbacks of my whole life, all these moments of like, I can't hear the ocean talk. That's crazy. Like when I lived in LA, I was living in Mar Vista, right on the water or near the ocean. And I would go to bed at night, and I swear to you guys, the ocean was like, there's a tsunami coming. You're not going to want to live by the ocean for too long. And I was like, huh? And then I moved. Took me a while, but I fucking moved. And now I'm back at the ocean, and they're saying it again. The ocean is like, it's going to break open, but it's also like, we need you here right now. You're going to move, but not just yet. And I'm like, I'm ready. Now I'm ready. How about we go now? And they're like, nah. Anyway, the whispers.
It reminds me of a couple of things. One is the joke that was very clear. We laughed when you said it in the reading because it reminded me of a joke. And that joke works because humor at its best speaks to core truths. And we go, haha, right? And it's just the one where the guy is there's a flood and there's a person in a house, and someone comes by on a boat and says, do you need to go? She goes, no, God will protect me. And then someone comes by in a ship and they say, hey, no, God will protect me. And then a helicopter comes, go, God will protect me. And then Pearly Gates, and he's like, what did you do? He said, I sent you a boat, a ship, and a fucking helicopter. What more do you want from me?
Or it says like, why didn't you come save me?
Yeah, he's like, I did. Come on.
Yeah.
And the other is just the idea of the Cassandra, which is Cassandra was, I think, in Greek myth. She was a soothsayer, but her curse was that exactly anything she said would not be believed. And that was her curse. So she was like, you guys, there's a monsoon. Nope. If I say that there's a monsoon coming, literally they won't believe me. So nothing that she knew could be believed. And that was a terrible story. But like, I don't know, that just sort of reminds me of like the constant ignoring of, you said, I gave you all this list,
Yeah.
They shared this list of prophets with us, some religious, some not, and just said, hey, I've sent you a lot of messengers and you have kind of half listened to some of them, some of you. And the other I was reminded of early on, and again, it's something I don't know very well, but I would like to, put it out there as something that people could read about, and that is the concept of the Great Turning.
Tell me.
So Joanna Macy, who is a spiritual teacher, a Buddhist teacher, she's Bay Area based actually, and my mom happens to sort of be her sort of whatever. They write books together and stuff, and she is responsible for the organization that is called The Work That Reconnects, which is this sort of eco-psychology, eco-spiritual kind of reconnecting. So it is about the same exact things we've been talking about. And as soon as I thought about it, I looked it up right away. I just Googled while we were talking the Great Turning, and there's a ton of information right away. But it's the same idea. It's a set of like sort of 5 principles we need to be engaging in.
When is it?
I don't know that it's actually a spelled out, like it's not a prophecy so much as a concept.
But I mean, when is the Great Turning?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think it's like, it's a thing that is coming and has been coming and is to be prepared for. And I have reached, literally at this moment, have reached the edge of what I know about it. So I probably shouldn't say more without reading, but I wanted to just introduce it as a resource to look into.
Well, I think we've said what needs to be said for today. And I just want to thank everybody for being here and listening and receiving intensity when intensity is given. And just thank you guys for doing this together with me. It means a lot to be able to do this. And I'm honored that you are willing to participate. So thank you. I think we're done.
Let's say goodbye for today.
Bye, guys.
What were you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers. What were you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.